So last year I built a productivity shortcut that showed you your day. It gave you all of your calendar, your task, it showed the weather, it did things like give you an option to do a brain dump, a ton of different things to kind of start off your day. I called it a today summary shortcut. A lot of people made one, and I made one last year as well and made a video about it. But this year I wanted to make another productivity shortcut, something a little bit different, but I kind of wanted to start it off as a tradition that every year around this time of the year I'll make some sort of productivity shortcut. So this year I made a journaling shortcut. And this journaling shortcut is a little different. This isn't meant to be like a diary that you can write all of your thoughts and dreams on about how you have a crush on Kevin. This shortcut is all about getting you to think about your day, what you want to accomplish, and how you're going to accomplish it. It doesn't replace a task manager at all. In fact, it's meant to complement a task manager. I'll talk about that more in a bit about how I'm using it. I've tried a lot of different physical journals, notebooks, whatever, for this kind of thing. I always end up losing them or just forgetting about them because I don't have them with me, or they get stuffed in a drawer and then forgotten about, and then I go to clean out that drawer months later and I find it. It's like, it never sticks with me, but I always have my iPad and my iPhone, so that is always with me, and with shortcuts and automation, I can have it remind me to do this every day, whereas a physical notebook, it just never quite stuck with me. So let's talk about how we built it. First up, the template. The template was designed by my podcast co-host, Jeff Perry. I'm gonna link all of his stuff below, including a link to our episode of A Slab of Glass that goes into detail on how we're both using it. I'm gonna talk about that here in this video as well though. So he designed this template and we wanted it to accomplish a few different things. We wanted it to have you start thinking about your day, like I already talked about. So the first section are 3 questions, and these are to get you to think about yesterday, what you did yesterday, how you can improve on from yesterday, and what you can do today to make that even better. The next section is where you can write goals. There's room for 6 goals, but to be honest, I never fill these up. Don't feel you always have to have 6 every single day. I usually have 2, 3, maybe 4 tops. But we wanted to give enough space that if you wanted to put more, you can, but don't feel you have to. These goals are meant to kind of set the tone for the day, what you want to achieve. These can be all sorts of different things. They could be eating healthy, going for a run, finishing a project, all sorts of different stuff. Finally, there's a writing section. This is so that you can take the questions and your goals, put that together, and come up with a plan on how you want to accomplish that. This is kind of the whole bread and butter of the whole system right here. Writing out how you're going to accomplish and what you're going to do that day is, to me, the most important. It really gets me thinking through my day, and it always just stays in my brain this way. I find when I write something down, it just sticks with me through the day, whereas when I, maybe think about something in the morning while I'm like having coffee or whatever, it doesn't stick with me as long. So writing things down, to me at least, is a huge improvement. So once we had the template, I built the shortcut. The shortcut was pretty interesting to build. There was a lot of different iterations of it, and at one point it was doing a whole lot, but we realized it was too much and we pared it down to really simple things. So when you run it, the very first thing it does is it checks to see if the template file is in iCloud. I chose iCloud because everyone that uses shortcuts has iCloud. Yeah, most people watching this video probably have a Dropbox account and probably have Dropbox installed on their iPad, but there might be a couple that don't, so iCloud just seemed natural. It creates a folder in the shortcuts folder called Journal, and then if it checks to see if the journal template is there. If it doesn't, it will use Base64 to decode and put that template file there. I decided to use Base64 because the other option would be to download that file from a server. And my day job is in security, and part of me was like, well, what if somebody replaces that file, does a man-in-the-middle attack? I know there's a whole bunch of reasons on why that can't happen, but there's a whole bunch of reasons on why that can happen. And then, what if the place that it was being hosted just breaks one day, then it just stops working for people? So with Base64, that template is always embedded in that shortcut. You could delete that template file. The next time you run it again, it'll just put that template right back there. So after it puts the template there, when you run it, you get 3 options. The first is a new entry via handwriting. Second is new entry via prompt. And then the third option is to open a previous entry. So the handwriting option will bring up the template. You can use your Apple Pencil and write on it, fill out all the sections, and then when you're done, it saves it as a file in that journal folder in iCloud. and then you could use the open previous to pick a date and open that previous one. So the way it saves it is it saves it with the date-journal.pdf. So anytime you do the open previous, you just pick a date and then it fills in that information and just opens the corresponding file for that date. You could also always go into the shortcuts folder, journal, and then open a previous file if you want. If you pick prompt, this is really meant for people on an iPhone or iPad with a keyboard that's hard to use the Apple Pencil with. This will basically give you the same questions that you get with the actual template that we made, same questions and everything, and then it lets you fill in all the options, and then it compiles it into one PDF. We wanted to try and keep everything one page just because it seemed like that was a lot simpler than giving you like a 6-page packet to fill out every day. We figured if it was anything more than one page, most people would just not want to do it. It'd be too much for them. One page was perfect for, in our testing at least, for us. So those are the 3 main options to work with it. There's a bunch of different things in here. If you wanted to change the template out for something different, you can just change out the base 64 code with another template you wanted to use, or you could just take that template and name it journal-template.pdf and put it in that file. There's many different things you can do if you want to scroll through this shortcut and modify it. I'm going to put a link to this shortcut in the description below, but also I will have it hosted on my website for as long as I can. That way you can always go and download it. If you accidentally break it or do something, you can go and download it later. Don't be afraid to break it, experiment with it, play with it. You can always duplicate it in shortcuts too. But those 3 options aren't the only way you can interact with this shortcut. There's also another option. If you looked in the description ahead of time, you might have seen something that allows you to install drafts integration. What this does is this installs 2 drafts actions. The first one is a template. So if you load this template, it basically brings in all the questions that are in our PDF template, but in drafts as a draft, and you can fill them out just like you normally would if you were handwriting them or the prompts, but you type it all up in drafts. The second one allows you to take the draft template and then send it to this shortcut, which will then compile it into a PDF and save it in that folder as the correct name so you can use the open previous and things like that. So there's really 3 different ways to build a journal entry. You have the handwriting one, you have the prompt, and you have drafts. So that's kind of cool. We had this whole idea from all of our beta testers that were kind of helping us out, gave us ideas for this draft. Really, originally, all I came up with was the handwriting part, and it was our testers that came up with the prompts and the drafts integration. Side note, I did try and get day 1 to work, but for some reason, the way day 1 was working with PDF files, it just didn't seem to work right. I'll play around with it more in the future, and if I do, I'll post it on Twitter or something. I'll make sure my stuff is below. You can check it out. But I did try to make day 1 work. So let's talk about how I use it. So first off, I have 2 automations that run. So I have one that runs at 6 a.m. and this basically opens up my today view and my task manager, which is things 3. Before I even start writing my journal entry, I like to see what is planned for my day, like what was already planned that I need to do today. This kind of helps me start thinking about my day. Again, this is all about thinking through your day, kind of getting things mentally prepared, ready to go. I have another automation that runs at 6:05. Now this is where the journal entry comes in. But first, the shortcut gets the date, adds 20 minutes to the date, and sets do not disturbs until 20 minutes in the future. So I can really run this automation at any time. I don't have to run it at 6:05. So if I'm not sitting down at my iPad at 6:05, it's not the end of the world. I just tap the notification later. I have had some issues lately with shortcuts automation and them not running in time. I might move this stuff to push cuts in the future, but for right now, I'm just using shortcuts automation. So once I have the do not disturb running for 20 minutes, it runs my daily journal shortcut. I usually, most of the time, do the handwriting one. 90% of the time, I do handwriting. A little bit, I've been testing the other ones, the prompt and the drafts integration. I've been testing that as well, but most of the time, I like the handwriting. I like sitting down with my Apple Pencil and just writing things out. It's really nice. It's kind of therapeutic almost to do that in the morning. Then finally, I have another automation that runs this same shortcut at 7 p.m. I use the open previous option and open the entry from that morning. I kind of go through and look at my goals and see if I accomplished anything. It's not the end of the world if I didn't accomplish everything. This isn't meant to shame you into doing something, but it's a good reminder that, hey, maybe I need to do this tomorrow. So a lot of times my goals are focused around health and my projects. So did I go for a run today? Did I eat healthy? Did I finish this video that I wanted to work on? Did I finish the edit of my podcast? Like, these are the goals I kind of set. I just like to go through and check and see if I did them. If I didn't, not the end of the world. I add it to things and add it to my goal list for tomorrow. So that's kind of it. That's the shortcut. That's my 2020 productivity shortcut that I'm releasing. I hope you guys like it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you have any trouble installing the shortcut, you might have to turn on Untrusted shortcuts. Go into settings, shortcuts, and turn this on. Basically, you have to have this on in order to install shortcuts from other people first. I really like this idea of me making a productivity shortcut every year. I'm thinking I'm gonna make this a tradition. So if you guys like this or have any other ideas for future ones, let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching and have a great day.